Is that Corvo's mask?
They're really sturdy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a couple of those. We actually have a third somewhere. You just walk into the apartment wearing that when you get home.
I think I will, actually.
Patricia!
Hi, honey, give me a kiss.
And she just says, oh, nice mask.
I think I'll podcast like this.
Okay, I did part of an episode on the Corvo mask. It sounds bad.
I could see how it would.
Yeah.
I won't actually do this.
It's
I'm just
shocking.
getting used to it.
Just keep it on for a little while,
The thing is, I don't think... Oh, God. I don't think the Corvo mask is supposed to look so much like a Terminator.
I might run home in this.
Oh, my God. Jesus. The perfect recipe for never getting mugged. Yeah, if I saw you you had to wear like a black t-shirt though, wearing that mask.
Yeah, because I'm wearing this like happy.
No, we're good.
Let's leave that alone.
You'd be running and there would just be like a trail
Wide
of coins
space.
and phones and wallets that people just threw
guns
as they passed. Yeah.
That might work.
Gangsters just dumping their... Oh, no. Fuck
don't
that.
mess with her.
No, we're good. Crime just goes down 95%. And, right. Why?
This
Why
is
along
what I
this
need to
one
do.
Once
route?
all the runners in the city started wearing replica Corvo masks, the city cleaned itself up pretty fast. One of them is a murderer.
Only
One
one,
of them
though.
actually did kill the fucking person at the beginning of the game that Corvo gets framed for killing.
Oh, that's right.
What a...
The
Fucking
Empress.
video games. Yeah. The Empress has been killed. And I need to clear my name by killing all... I guess you can stealth it, so whatever.
You know,
Yeah, but you wanted to be able to press E and go, I didn't do it.
Didn't do it. Sorry, guys. Wasn't me.
It was an assassin. We live in a world where people can disappear and appear magically.
I have a...
So maybe that's what happened.
My alibi is not being able to do that yet.
see, I'm trying right now.
Corvo has the perfect alibi.
The serial podcast of Corvo. Yeah. The Empress's murder.
You clearly blinked and it killed someone and disappeared.
Check out my skill tree, bro.
I can't do that.
Take a look.
No.
It was obviously an assassin. That's their thing in fucking Dishonored world.
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A. I can just move around. All I can do is play hide and seek with a kid right now. That's it.
This is an inmate calling from the whale oil penitentiary.
Gross whale world. Yep.
Gross whale world.
Dishonored, Maryland Correctional.
Done Baltimore.
Done, Baltimore.
Shit. It's me, Mario. A grumpy fucker.
Whatever.
Well, we had to talk about Old Man Mario. It's January 14th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 193. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
I'm Danielle Riendo.
I'm Nick Breckon.
That's really confusing for anybody who just joined
he's
the podcast.
not.
Sorry, I'm Jake Rodkin. I'm not Nick Breckon. He was here last week.
How was he? Did he look well?
Yeah.
He was doing okay, yeah.
I always kind of worry about Nick Breckon. You know what I mean?
Everyone does.
Everybody does, yeah.
I just want to know he's well.
He was doing well. Yeah.
That's good. How is Disney World?
Oh my god, it was great.
So, Danielle, how is Disney World?
Disney World was great.
Wow.
I had a lot of fun. I was there for a week, and it was my girlfriend's very first time at any Disney park
And
ever.
your infinite time.
Yes, this is my 82nd time or something like that.
On the chart of how many times has the average person in the world been to Disney World, on the bell curve of that, you guys were at the opposite.
I'm way
the full
at the
extremes.
Yes, it's
the
very
beginning
true.
and the absolute
Exactly,
end.
It's very
Like if Walt
true.
Disney was alive, he would walk in and be like, "That's more than I've been there."
Well, it's definitely more
possible.
than he's been there, probably, right?
Well, Disney World, yeah.
Did he die?
He died.
He
before
only
Disney,
kind of was in the plane surveying the land, basically.
Yeah,
so if you want to count that
And then
as
he
his
died.
been. And then he died.
An alligator ate him while he was surveying those lands.
It was a
in-
really
While he was
unfortunate.
on the
Florida.
Jungle Cruise.
He was a flying alligator, and it was a problem. I did
you
go on
actually-
the Jungle Cruise, and it's special for Christmas. I don't know if
heard
you've ever
it's
been
bad.
on the Jingle Cruise.
I heard it's bad. Not bad?
I mean, the Jungle Cruise is bad. It's bad in the same way that the Jungle Cruise is bad.
I've been on the Jungle
lights.
Cruise. It's the Jungle Cruise, but with slightly different puns. There's not even
Yeah.
like decorations. It's not worth it. Don't.
They should
Oh,
put
no,
little
there are
hats on
different
all the-
decorations.
There's some little Christmas lights up here
It's
and
mostly
there.
Christmas lights. Yes.
You could put little Santa hats on the monkeys.
There were Santa hats. There was a Santa hat on the guy with the heads.
Okay.
So
I like
You
that
know.
story.
How did Patricia like all of this?
I think she liked it. And I was actually really worried.
I ditched
really
her and went on all my favorite rides.
I left her for dead in the Jungle Cruise. I don't know. She fell in. No. I believe she had a really good time. I was worried at first because we had gone to Universal for Halloween Horror Nights this year. And she was kind of like, this is fun, but it's really crowded. And, you know, she's not done the whole theme park thing. She's not been indoctrinated the way I was to deal
She
with
hasn't
crowds and
Stockholmed
lines.
herself into
Exactly.
only loving this above all things.
Just suffering for your entertainment, basically. And we went to Universal first, and we saw the new Harry Potter land.
Oh, how was
There are
that?
now 2 Harry Potter lands. It's great.
Why there too?
Yeah, well, okay. So there's one in the old park now, the Universal Studios park, and there's one in Islands of Adventure. The one in Islands of Adventure is Hogsmeade, which is like the castle and the little town around the castle.
For sure. I'm into that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's sort of Christmassy themed, actually. There's fake snow everywhere and everything like that. The new one is Diagon Alley, which
I've
is
heard that's cool.
it's great. Yeah, it's really
But
awesome.
don't you take the train to go between them as well, right?
You do, and I did, and it was cute. And there's a little show that plays. There's like, you know, Harry and Hermione and Ron are hanging out outside your window and stuff like that. It's
Really?
you know, it's kind of
Like
adorable.
human actors?
Well, I mean, they're in shadow with the actual like voices, basically. So you go.
Daniel
into your
Radcliffe
little
just
train.
rides on the side of that train.
But are they robots
Every
or are they
day.
people?
Well, it's shadow.
It's projected silhouettes.
It's a projected silhouette.
It's a movie, Christopher.
So it's a robot.
It's definitely a robot. No question.
If a digital video projector is a robot, then yes, it's a robot.
Definitely
It is
a robot.
not.
They actually captured robots to get the silhouettes because the actors were unavailable. They built amazing robots.
They're very lifelike. It's beautiful. There's even a Dementor who comes over and is gonna
what?
like.
Oh, really?
Okay,
Is it
so
scary?
In Harry Potter lore, the Dementors suck your
Dementors?
happiness.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
It's a big floating cape thing with a skeleton hand that comes
Yes.
out.
And
floating
actually,
cake?
it kills your happiness.
They're cool. They're like the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings.
They look a lot
They
like.
look very similar to that. I need to say one thing. I know there's a 0% chance that you ever read the Harry Potter series, but I am going to tell you that knowing you
Yeah.
and your spirit,
Uh-huh.
that there's a decent chance that you would enjoy yourself,
Sure.
even though you would have to overcome the hurdle of the guilt you would feel for not reading something more important while
I
reading.
agree with that
That
statement.
might be
actually.
true. I'm not
Yeah.
like strenuously avoiding it. I didn't like if people didn't explicitly like act surprised when they learn I haven't read Harry Potter, it wouldn't even occur to me that it's like a thing that should have intersected with my life. You know
I
what
don't
mean?
think it should have intersected.
No, I'm
with
just saying like it's not a principled stand. I've never like gone out of my way. It just literally never even occurred to me to read it.
yeah.
I would recommend, because it's
Or
a
see
much
the movies or
shorter.
whatever.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, if you ever are planning to be in Orlando for the theme parks, it's
I would go-
actually worth
I would go to
watching the movies
okay,
to
no, see,
do that part.
This is actually
You'll do the research to go to the theme park?
Exactly.
No. Quite the opposite. I would totally rather, like, aside from whether or not I ever, like, read the books or whatever, like,
Sure.
aside from that, I would totally rather go to the theme park not having seen the movies or read the book, because then I could experience it just as, like, a created magical world without, like, attaching it
Sure.
to... And I think that would be a really interesting
So that applies to the
experience.
theme park, but not to watching like a filmic adaptation of a book? Because we talked about Inherent Vice, and you were like, "I'm not seeing that movie till I read the book," and you just crammed that book so that you saw it before the film.
Well, I think it's because
that's
the book
not
is
the same
actually
thing.
is
I mean,
a
like-
Thomas Pynchon novel.
Yeah.
Well,
Right? It's
well,
like-
yeah, but
that
it's
has a
still,
certain
it's still not the
cachet
same
to it that you
thing.
probably
Like,
want to experience.
I
No.
assume
that wasn't our conversation, though.
I don't know. I'm not privy.
it's not really no. Well, it's just I just feel like it's a 90-degree difference. I feel like it's just not the same comparison. Like what I mean is the thing that I appreciate about Disneyland, for example, is not that it's based on Disney properties.
Sure.
It's that it's just like it's a place with it has a strong sense of place, and like a lot of craftsmanship goes into it, and like
Yeah.
high attention to detail. And I like looking for those little details. And my favorite parts of Disneyland are not the ones that's like Cars Land. It's like
Sure.
just the ones that are just created places.
Okay,
And,
that's
like
totally fair.
and
That
so-
makes me actually want for Chris to go experience this and then sort of report back of what he thinks the
Exactly.
world of
That would
Harry
be
Potter is
amazing.
about.
I think that would be really interesting. I
Like,
would totally
what do you
love
think
to
the
do that.
rules of the world of Harry Potter are? Because you
Yeah,
probably don't
that
even
would be
know.
fascinating.
Like, you have no concept of the idea of like,
Well, I
are
saw-
there regular people in Harry Potter?
I do now because Sarah showed me the third movie, the Quaron one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
That was sort of like if you were gonna experience,
If you're gonna watch
if you just
one.
wanted to experience the stories of Harry Potter.
But you didn't enjoy it because you thought it was just a visual supplement to a book that you hadn't read, which I think is true.
Yeah, that's how it felt to me.
yeah,
And
that's a good visual
there was
supplement.
there was like cool visual stuff on screen for sure, but it felt so plot heavy to the point that it was like I didn't even feel capable of enjoying it that much
Yeah.
because it was just like scene, plot, 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 plot,
Sure.
plot, plot, which doesn't make it like a bad translation. It was just I felt like I was just watching an island of scene, like just like
Man, okay,
ocean
so
of scenes.
we're not talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
any video games, but did
We
you
could talk about the Harry Potter video game for the
wanna-
GameCube.
I don't want to talk about that. I did want to talk about Inherent Vice for a second, though.
Oh yeah,
Because
I don't know what I think of that movie.
I've only read like the first 20% of Inherent Vice, but
I only ended up finishing 60% of it.
Okay, but my experience watching the movie was that it felt like it was just a visual supplement to the book.
I felt that way too. And
It
that's
really
why-
bothered me.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Okay.
it was. I don't think it's a very like. I think it's P.T. Anderson's least successful movie, and he's like one of my top few
Yeah.
currently working film directors.
It feels like the only major deviation from the actual book was introducing that character to take the voice of the narrator.
that was a character from the book, but
But she's
she
not-
was changed. Her role was totally changed.
Because in the book, the narration is the detective.
Yeah, well,
More or
there's
less,
not
it's,
really
it's a narrator, but it blends. Anyway, whatever. We don't have to
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
out in
this.
the weeds.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, I got to talk
Anyway,
about
there's a
this
movie
another
called
time.
Inherent Vice that was written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, adapted from a novel of the same name by Thomas Pynchon, which is set in kind of early 1970s Southern California in the wake of the era of love, basically, like the summer of love, basically.
Yes.
It's like post-hippie kind of decline of this like peace and love, free love movement that sort of in Pynchon style, if you've read like The Crying of Lot 49, which we did on the Idle Book Club when we used to do that, it sort of depicts Southern California generally, but particularly in that era, as almost the site of like a looming apocalypse. It's a really great way to depict Southern California, especially if you've lived there, which I have, or spent much time there. It's a really like interesting, potent treatment. And the book, it's just suffused in it, and the movie I didn't think captured it quite as
The
well.
movie, I would describe it as the Harry Potter 3 of Thomas Pynchon adaptations.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's funny that with P.T. Anderson though, where you basically go to see a P.T. Anderson movie, and if it's not the best movie you saw that year, you're kind of like, it's okay.
But this one did feel like just different than all his others, and I think it's because it was adapted.
Yeah.
This is the first movie that he didn't just write originally.
Yeah, I'm going to see it without watching. I'm going to see it without reading the book.
I'll be curious
without
to hear
watching the
how,
pages of the book.
how you follow the plot, because it's so confusing.
Yeah.
Just by nature. It is in the book too, but it feels different. Anyway, Jesus, do we have any video games to
I
talk
played-
about?
Played a lot of
I
games.
don't have a ton to talk about, but I do want
You said
to.
you played a lot, Danielle?
Oh, I always.
Of course you did.
I
Oh,
always
yeah.
played. A
I
lot
played
of games. Oh yeah.
hours of CS:GO. I don't really have a whole lot more to share about it, except to relay the experience of a game continuing to get its hooks into you. But I do
So
not.
you're a Counter-Strike guy now.
No,
So Counter-Strike Go Day is going to appear.
no, because I think I have zero interest. And this is coming all the way around
Counter-Strike, go for
from
it.
when we talked about it the last time, and Evan Lottie broke down the pro match.
Yeah.
Those guys are cheaters also.
We since found where
no.
we're using the hacks.
They're so good.
I have zero interest in Counter-Strike as a competitive game. It doesn't.
Yeah, I find it really hard to watch. I've always found first-person shooters difficult to watch as competitive.
And it
sports.
doesn't have a level of. I'm not going to compare the pro scene of something like Dota to Counter Strike. That's not going to be
Especially
interesting
since
for
you're
anyone
not
here.
immersed in it and like
Right.
don't have.
But
the
it just it
perspective of
doesn't.
someone
That
else.
has no
It's
zero.
just not, it's just
appeal
not
to
interesting
me.
to you.
Zero appeal to
but
me.
what was interesting to you about what you did play?
It's just the pace, and it's so fun. It was just incredibly fun, and it's
a fun game.
It's just a fun game. But you know what? Actually, started to like this is fucked up, and I'm not gonna let it happen. But those gun skins started to like
Oh no!
slowly creep. Slowly creep.
Did you pay
Slowly-
$500 for the all-white gun?
So, guys, you will notice the Idle Thumbs bank account has gone down by $500. But it was so I could talk about it on the podcast, so it felt like a worthy expense.
Tax write-off.
But what I did do was I got my first crate, and I went like, well, I'm going to buy a key
Buy a
for
key.
this to
Gotta
see
buy
what
a key.
happens. To see.
They have crates and keys in Counter-Strike
That's
now?
the whole thing. Yeah.
Counter-Strike has... Yeah.
It's just TF2 style?
But
Yeah.
you just get it's just gun skins, and you can unlock guns.
There's not wacky hats?
That's also the name of my like
skins.
high street retail store, Just Gun Skins.
That's like, you mean your fucking kiosk in the middle of the
We're
mall?
right next to Just Vape. Right, we have two different storefronts, but we share a back room.
I think it was just, you know what it is? It's really
By the way, sorry, Just Vape is actually the name of an incredibly sketchy retail storefront that used to be right across the street from Irrational Games. There was never
Wait, this
anyone
is
in
real?
it. Yeah, this was real.
Sounds like
This was
cozy.
actually the first time I heard the word. But now vape is everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Vaping is like,
ubiquitous.
but this was like,
it's in the parlance.
this was 5 years ago, I guess, and it was before that. It was on the very early
It would
side.
be
of
very
this thing.
novel.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was very novel. And the first time I saw that, like, this when the store opened up across the street, and I just saw the word "Just Vape," and I was what is this? And it was the creepiest store because it was basically entirely empty inside, except for one bar stool.
Oh my God.
Just in the middle of the room, and it was on the corner.
That's so you could just vape, Chris.
They were very serious.
Truth in
about
That's
advertising.
all that is offered in this store. One person can just vape.
I never saw anyone in there. I never saw any customers. I don't even know if I ever saw any staff. It was a weird, and the logo just had those words in like Arial on a big sign above the door.
There was a command. It actually, you were wearing the They Live glasses, and that was the message beneath the actual sign name, which was just Gunskins.
Yes.
Just Vape is the name of a very popular gun skin, by the way, in CSGO.
Pay $7.95 for just vape.
Yeah, it's kind of translucent. It's really nice. Smoky.
Speaking of vaping, that is
Yes.
basically
Sorry, readers. Goodbye.
we just live in Deus Ex. We just live in cyberpunk.
too.
That's a thing. Electronic cigarettes.
The thing about vaping is it's actually like in terms of like the environment that we all have to fucking live in. Fucking vape your face off.
But people
So
are now
much
holding iPad minis, like they're scrolling through weird videos and with their fingers while a robot cigarette is in their mouth. Like,
No,
it's out of control.
ridiculous, but at least I don't have to smell it.
Someone vaping while wearing an Oculus
inside
Rift.
my body.
Yeah, no, cigarette
Like,
smoke
it's
gives
so
me
much
headaches, so
fucking
I'll
better.
take
Like
the
I'm like,
vape.
whatever. Fucking vape
It
to your
is
heart's
better.
content. Like do whatever.
Strap on your
Just vape. I mean,
Just vape. That's
Strap
fine.
on your vape.
No, maybe just vape is a total Deus Ex situation. It's they give you the little e-cigarette, they give you an Oculus Rift and some gloves, and you sit in that chair, but then you're inside of an amazing vape emporium.
Oh my
or
God.
it's like
From all over the world.
It's
Yeah,
like
there's that
it's
one
like a
shitty
holodeck,
store.
and you're in like. You're like Picard going.
Now
back
you
to the
can
20s,
smoke
the
in
20s
bars.
or whatever. Yeah, in a like a crowded bar
It's a
where you're the
Dixon
coolest
Hill
guy.
Picard
in a fedora.
experience.
Yeah, it's just so you can experience smoking indoors.
Yeah, but like it's cool.
But like it's cool. Yeah, there's like cool people in there with you.
Like Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah, like Captain Picard is in there.
Captain Picard as Dixon Hill, of course.
Wow.
He's role-playing.
He is, that's true.
Who as who?
Dixon Hill. That was his 40s detective holodeck stuff.
This is a solid friend that we have going.
Anyway, Dixon
So
Hill.
you bought that gun skin.
Yeah, back to our important video game conversation.
No, I actually have a thing to say, which is it was so refreshing to want to play a multiplayer game, which I realize are my favorite games. I
Yeah,
think that's just a
pretty
thing
clear,
for me
I
to
think.
No, shut up.
I'm not being sarcastic.
I was a little patronizing.
I didn't mean for it to be.
No, that's what you
I'm just
love.
saying, like I buy
Right.
that.
Like I've decided I was in the shower thinking about it and thinking about the next single player game I was really excited about, and it was just blank.
It's Half-Life 3.
Literally
Half-Life 3.
like it's like
A Night in the Woods.
The Witness
I'm excited about The Witness.
in Steve's game. Like, and that's not because he's my friend. It's because I thought his teaser was really cool. I went like,
And
oh, yeah,
because
of
of
course.
Gamergate.
And because
Right.
Gamergate decrees
Right.
that I must be excited for it in the
Of course.
Ouroboros of...
We got that Gone Home IGF placard up in our office. We got Danielle here. We
Yeah,
got
that's
everything.
right. You got it all.
I should just take a photo of what I'm looking at right this second while you're talking. Or while I'm talking. But, that's great.
I'll pose in the Corvo mask. In
no.
that. No.
So I sat down and I wanted to play a video game, and then none of my friends were online to play Dota with, and then I was like queued up in the cesspool of pubs, and then I realized that I didn't have to. I know that's a fucking crazy stupid thing to say, but I was like, I don't have to play this. I can play another game. And then I loaded up CS:GO, and I realized like my commitment was in and out. Like if I got pissed off, I'd leave. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I'm playing casual. It's fun. I'm just running. It was like it did all the same things. I was having fun. It was so good. And then I ended up playing with Ollie and a bunch of his like artist
Oh
friends.
yeah, I got a
Ooh.
message asking me to play. But
It
I
was
didn't
so
choose.
fun.
yeah,
We
I got
had such a
invited
good
to
time. Like I
CS:GO
made
too.
friends. I got like 5 new
Yeah.
friend invites and like people from like, oh, I know you because I know your work from blah blah blah. The guy who did the that 3D model of the character, like one of the side characters in our game, you saw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in there. Talked to that guy for a while, and it's way chiller. It's not like playing Dota where our phone
phone
almost
was
fell.
not
It's getting
chill.
hot in the office. All of our phone was melting off the walls.
It's
again.
not like
chill.
I can't have a conversation with Brad Muir while we're playing Dota unless we're both dead or in the lobby. Or like we can like I don't know. It was really great. I mean, I know everybody's played like lots of first-person shooter multiplayer stuff, so you know what that is like. But I had just forgotten what the social aspect and what the pace of those sorts of games can be.
Yeah.
It was really enjoyable.
That's cool.
Makes me want there to be a game that tickles all the same sensors that isn't just like abject murder, but
Right.
whatever for now.
I wonder. There must be games that do fulfill that.
That have the pacing of Counter-Strike though, because Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's quite a lot of
So
games
much
that
of
have the
it.
pacing
So much
of Counter-Strike.
about it is that you die and then the round's over, or like for you, it's over.
Right, but it doesn't necessarily have to be you just blowing away
No, I
terrorists
know,
and
I know,
counter-terrorists
I know,
with
I know.
guns.
But it was like the same fun you'd have like playing multiplayer balloon Mario Kart. You know, it has that same sort of
sure.
rounds over,
Sure,
I'm out,
okay,
whatever. But there's nothing like that. There's nothing that has a critical mass of audience that exists on the PC that's like that, really. So
You were definitely not into Apogee Software's Wacky Wheels scene.
I wasn't deep into that.
If someone does, I would
be.
be curious to hear reader suggestions for other games that are like this that are not sort of war themed. I guess I'd be
Yeah.
curious
Or
to hear.
couch co-op, because I'm thinking of a few games that kind of scratch that itch, but they're all,
It's not the same as being alone in your house with a headset
Yeah.
strapped on, talking to your friends over the internet. It is a different feeling. It is a totally different feeling.
It is.
With a couch co-op, you have to talk to the person on the couch.
You do,
can't,
and you have to
You
smell
can't
them.
be dead and then also
Yeah.
just go fuck around
I've realized what
to smell them.
You do.
one of the things, because Sean, you and I have very, like our tastes definitely overlap in a lot of ways, across various kinds of entertainment. But one way in which they differ is definitely that I just don't have. It's so hard for me to commit to playing anything multiplayer these. I didn't used to be this way, but for some reason now I am. It's hard for me to commit to playing a multiplayer game, even if I know it's going to be over in like under 10 minutes. There's something for some reason in like that just makes me so unenthused to like have other people have to rely on me for like any period of time. It has nothing to do with how long it is. It's just this like sensation of, I don't know.
You don't want the personal commitment of a human being that you might slight when you leave.
yeah. Or like
What's funny is having played multiplayer games with you, I know I knew this to be an emotional fact, but not a logical fact, in that you're never in a good mood or stoked. Like you're just sort of like, yeah, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Sort of like you're always ending on a halted breath,
Right,
like you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
just fucking disappear.
Yeah.
CS:GO is really fun to play with a group of people and have an open Steam channel with. And,
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And you have that thing where like you're the last person on the map and there's 3 guys left and your buddies are in your ear being like, don't fuck this up, come on. And then you
Yeah.
do it and you like take out the 3 guys and it's just, and then you're back to talking about like whatever, illustration or whatever. Yeah, it's really fun.
Illustration.
So Danielle, you played a million games, I
Yes,
assume.
there
What
are
were some of
three.
them?
There are 3 I would like to highlight today,
Okay.
and they're from
Wait,
all
what are-
over the spectrum.
First, say what all 3 of them are, because I'm curious.
Okay. I played Alien Isolation's new mode, Salvage mode, which is out
I didn't
today.
know there was one.
It's pretty cool. I'll tell you about it. I played on the on the Idle Thumb stream right before I went on vacation. I played Lost Constellation, which is the Night in the Woods little DLC side story, which was pretty rad.
For what?
For
Night in the
Oh, for Night in the Woods. Sorry.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
for Night in the Woods.
Yeah.
I would describe it as a Night in the Woods sort of side story.
Yeah,
They kind of just like threw. That's something they put together as like almost like a promo for the game.
It's like
Yeah,
pre-DLC, isn't it? Because the
Pre-DLC.
game isn't out, right?
Yeah, and it was. I think it was really inexpensive too, so it's just kind of like a little gift. And it was like it was either right before Christmas or like Christmas Day that it came out. So
Yeah.
it was like here's a little present, which was really nice. And then I played on the tiniest end of the spectrum. I played a really goofy, funny little made in a week or whatever game called Naut, which is an astronaut simulator on Mars where you do all sorts of goofy things.
Which of those, to get it in before the break, which of those is the most compact
Not
description?
easily,
All right, go.
easily not.
I want to
Okay,
hear about not.
not as in
I
astronaut
would
or
not
cosmonaut.
like to not hear about not.
Chris.
Well, I will not tell you about.
Oh my
it.
God.
Danielle, thank you. I appreciate
Let's just let
that.
them. Let's just see
And
where this
you.
goes.
So, it was made by 3 French developers. They're part of the Klondike Collective, which is like a small.
I wonder if they pronounce
indie
it
arty-
not or like no.
Oh, that's a good question. Actually,
I don't know.
I should ask them. Oh, that's cute.
I do not know.
Do not no.
Please, we.
Okay, it's a really tiny little, it was made in a game jam by these 3 people.
Cool.
And it is sort of like this neon pink and purple vision of Mars. You play as a little astronaut or cosmonaut, or they have a
Naut.
cool name. Actually, French astronauts are known as spationautes, I believe. It's actually a really cool, interesting,
Sweet.
weird little name. And you can play co-op. It's much more fun as a co-op
Is it
game.
a side-scrolling thing? Is it
No, it's a
top-down?
3D game.
It's first person, third person.
It's third person 3D, and it actually has a very cinematic camera angle. Like, you are always, your astronaut, cosmonaut, spationaut is always sort of on the right of the frame. So when you're running around, it looks very cinematic and very pretty.
Interesting.
You kind of walk like a toddler because of the gravity,
Like
supposedly.
Kerbal Space Program.
A little bit. It's a little Kerbal-y. But you can run, and you can get into a 50s style Cadillac and drive around the landscape. It's like goofy physics. There's
All right.
lightning,
Yeah,
and there's
so
this.
it's just bonkers. It's not meant
It's
to
a
be...
bonkers,
yeah.
wacky little game, but there is sort of this sense of like
What do you do in it?
nobility to it. You basically explore, you look at things, you fall over, your car
So it's just a
flips, and you
sandbox.
keep.
There's not a goal.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's really kind of a sandbox.
What do you mean by nobility?
The soundtrack is this epic, almost like Chariots of Fire
Oh, man.
sense to it, and it changes dynamically with what you're
cool.
doing. So
Nice.
it's actually really
Yeah.
like
That's great.
you feel like you're playing this goofy, weird, arty French sandbox game, but there's this piano soundtrack in the background to it that like really just it feels epic when you're playing
That's awesome.
it.
I have no sense of what this is.
I know it's a
Not
bit
in a bad
difficult to capture it all without actually showing you visually what it looks like, but it's
So this comparison probably doesn't actually bear out, but purely because I mentioned Kerbal,
Sure.
just as almost jokingly, and because it's a space game, and because you said you referred to the sort of nobility
yes.
of this. One of my favorite things about Kerbal is how it's about these weird, goofy, little stubbly
yes.
little people
Creatures,
who kind of just like stumble around and make spaceships that blow up all the time because you're bad at the game.
Yeah.
Like by you, I mean everyone almost. And they almost seem like helpless kind of a lot of the time. But then when you pull off a really incredible launch and like make it into outer space and get to another planet and like, if you holy shit land on another planet, it like wraps around to being way more majestic than it would be if it were like highly detailed, like
yeah,
exquisitely rendered human characters. Because
absolutely.
when you're like, you've got the heat shield on, you're breaking through the atmosphere, and like you see the face on the Kerbal, and they're just like determined, and they're gonna do it, and then you actually do it, and you're like, holy fuck me, this is the most like actually inspirational thing I could possibly imagine.
Yes.
And then
It's
you don't have
incredible.
enough fuel to get back, and they die and wacky. They fall over and stuff. But until then,
But in that moment,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really something special.
Yeah.
This is not nearly as involved as Kerbal, but
right. I mean,
but there is
clearly.
a touch of that
Yeah,
it feels like,
right.
oh, I made it to the car, because learning how to walk and learning how to run.
Oh yeah, that's a great feeling.
It's pretty goofy in this game as well. So
On that
it
note,
feels
speaking of
good.
games where you have to learn to walk and run and that have chariots of fire in them,
yes,
QWOP is
QWOP, the most
as we
of
construct
games.
the most idiotic Venn diagram imaginable. That is totally a game where it's like cartoonish and ridiculous.
So Naut is the center of the Venn diagram of Kerbal Space Program, and QWOP. I don't know if that's a check that might be a little.
Oh, I was imagining all three of these games have a circle.
Yeah,
Oh, then what's in the middle?
Oh my God.
Chris's
something
perfect game.
magical.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
magic. Yes,
Yeah.
Me,
The event
I'm in the
horizon
middle.
of Chris
Tristan in
Reno's
the
Your
middle,
face.
making a Kerbal face. Like that's what it is. You in the
gold
middle.
glow underneath.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's.
I can't not bring up QWOP though if someone talks about learning
no.
to run in a game and it has chariots of fire.
But then if you
mean,
zoom in
literally
on
chariots of
Chris's face, you realize that it is another Venn diagram. But if you look closely, it's a circle and just says Spelunky. And then you zoom out, and the other Venn diagram is gone.
Oh, it's excellent. Shall we break?
Well, then you zoom out further and you see that the three circles of the
Apparently
Venn
not.
diagram
No.
are actually a Mickey Mouse head and it's labeled Danielle.
Yes. Yes.
This episode is brought to you by NatureBox, the delicious snack delivery service that will bring tasty treats right to your home or office. And if you use the promo code THUMBS by going to naturebox.com/thumbs, you can get a free NatureBox sampler pack, which comes with 4 samples plus a full-size NatureBox treat of your choosing. Found out over the break that my little sister is a NatureBox subscriber.
Whoa.
Nice.
Not an Idle Thumbs listener, though.
So she missed out on that sweet deal, probably.
Right.
It's not in that Venn diagram.
But I definitely went through about a half a bag of the honey mustard pretzels while watching
Oh, those are good.
the first round of the college football playoff, which was great.
2 quick things to say about NatureBox. It's important. One, I think they're in Canada now,
Whoa.
which they weren't for a while.
Oh,
We used to
okay.
get readers who
NatureBox News.
yeah.
In Canada now. NatureBox. Canada.
Also, they have like oatmeal, like little oatmeal cups as well. Like
Oatmeal cups now
you can
available.
make like hot oatmeal from their
That
little
sounds
oatmeal
lovely.
cups. Naturebox.com/thumbs. That's what you want.
Just
Get
live
you
that dream.
That sweet, sweet offer.
We'd also like to thank a brand new sponsor to the podcast,
It's
MeUndies. MeUndies sells underwear on the internet, and they have a ton. I almost said a buttload. Oh no!
let's just leave it
think
in.
you should.
And keep
I
going.
think you should.
Fill MeUndies with your buttload.
Okay. So MeUndies.
Welcome.
That is MeUndies.
Yes, it is. And they do underwear and cotton basics of a very high quality of super soft cotton sent straight to you at your home or office or anywhere.
Shirts, briefs, boxers, ladies, underpants of various types.
And the thing that I was immediately taken by with them, because when we get a new sponsor, we go and like figure them out, is their website is incredibly well made, beautiful looking, and the patterns they have for socks, underwear, at least socks and underwear, are really awesome.
They have a guarantee. If you're not happy with it, your first pair is free. Good thing to know. Go to MeUndies.com/thumbs, 20% off and free shipping.
That's a great deal.
These
Sweet.
are some great patterns. I'm looking at the patterns right now.
Yeah,
There's
aren't
some
they, like,
good
really great?
stuff.
Yeah,
Lots
they're
of
really-
funky
yeah, it's
stuff.
Good
Lots
stuff.
of colors.
That is MeUndies.com. In a hit nighttime procedural, that would be the medical examiner.
MeUndies,
Awesome character.
played by B.D. Wong.
Yeah, always just living life in the most maximally comfortable way.
Thanks, MeUndies. We really appreciate the support.
Again!
That's so boring.
I didn't even mean to. That's 2. That's what I said under his skills on his like actor's
That's
resume.
the
It's
true
like
skill.
it's like stage fighting, horseback riding, farting on command. He walked in 9 years ago to Matt Weiner's office and just and walked out.
The way you said stage fighting, horse fighting, farting on command reminded me of the Lord of the Rings, like potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Farting on command.
Yeah, exactly.
Stage fighting, horse riding, farting on command.
Beat poetry.
And then Gollum says, "What's farting, precious?"
Video game.
And we're back.
I'm so glad to be back.
Tell
I learned so much about
So
cars.
you have 2 other games.
I really want to know about the scavenge mode. What is it?
Salvage mode.
Salvage mode in Alien Isolation, because
Yes.
I played Alien Isolation quite a bit, and like I didn't enjoy the game the same way you did.
I don't think anybody did. I think I might be the...
Well, you are the apex of
most
people who
in
liked
love.
it, but
That's
a
okay.
lot of people did really like that game.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Far Cry 2.
Yeah, I understand. Well, okay. It's a new mode. It's out today, I believe. It's their 3rd of 5 DLC things. And I think this is the best so far, actually, personally. So in Salvage mode, you start out in a safe room, which is actually safe.
Like
At least as far as I've played it, it's been safe. And you
Is
get...
this a single player mode? Sorry,
This
did you
is a
already say
single
that?
player
Okay.
mode. Yes, this is single player. You get your objectives. You get to choose from sort of branching objectives from a terminal. They're very simple things. It's just go here, do a thing, and then whatever. The whole point is really to get you to basically kind of play around with the AI. Like, it's get to an objective, do your objective, and get back without dying. You only get 1 life to do any of this. And you get points if you successfully complete your objectives without dying, without getting killed by the alien, basically. And you can put those points towards a save slot or not and keep getting points. So the whole idea is like it's kind of a score attack mode
Yeah.
with the alien
press your luck
AI,
sort of thing.
which is really cool, honestly. So it really honestly is like a playground with the creature.
I'm
which is
interested in that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
It's you know, I loved this game so much because of its story mode, because of what his story was,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think that the greatest single feature of it was the AI, the alien AI. So this is sort of a way of playing with that and sort of doing the whole, well, the way the game sort of worked, the save system was a little bit of a risk versus reward thing because you never knew when you were saving if the alien was nearby. You could totally get killed. You could totally get screwed by that. So in this, it's like, well, do you want to save? If you want to save, you can cash in a whole bunch of points or not and get a big score and do the whole leaderboard thing if you're interested in that. Or you can save and actually be able to keep playing. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really well designed.
Nice.
The objectives themselves are nothing special. It's like go to a place, pick up a thing, you know, or restart a generator. It's sort of the same stuff that's in the game. But the whole point being you get to sort of play with the AI in a new way.
How long are you generally lasting in salvage mode? Like,
Well,
how long does it take you to go and complete an objective and come back? And then how many revs do you make it before you eat it?
So for me, and I actually played this next to the creative director of the game, which was exciting for me because he was giving me tips the whole time. For me, when I played, I made it past, I think, 3 of the objectives. So going to go get an objective and come back 3 times before I totally ate it. And it was because I panicked because it was a human encounter. Primarily, most of these were alien just aliens, or just the single alien and nothing else in the environment. Yeah. But this was a human encounter that I just totally panicked and died at their hands, and then totally lost everything because I hadn't saved. So that
You're playing it. You're taking a risk.
I was taking the risk, not cashing in, and it really bit me in the ass there a little bit. But yeah, it's really variable. It kind of totally depends on your skill. And this is totally not for anybody new to the game. This is definitely for like somebody who's played the game on at least normal, maybe hard, and like knows what they're doing, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So,
Right.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it.
How much? Do you know how much does it cost?
$7, I think.
Interesting price point.
$6.99, something like that. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. So
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that if you're into this game, like it seems like their DLC plan is to keep doing interesting, like life.
At this point, too, a lot of people probably are just getting it from being a season pass customer. Is that right?
I think
I think
so.
if it's sort of in planned DLC, you might have just bought the Alien Isolation Plus season pass pack.
And then you played the pre DLC for Night in the Woods.
Yeah, this was really a delightful
Can you actually talk about Night in the
experience.
Woods really quick? Like,
I would like to hear a general overview of this first.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's like a 2D adventure game. It's very colorful. It's God, what is his name? Scott. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on this person.
What category of person is it?
He is a developer. He made this game.
What else? Has he done something else? Is there a reason we'd know his
I
name?
believe this is his first big
Okay,
game.
so there's no reason we'd know who he
It's a sort of it's a 2D
okay.
side-scrolling thing, but it has the sort of fidelity of Broken Age, sort of where it looks very much like a sort of children's storybook or independent comic style come to life, but it's an entirely in a 2D setup.
It is,
and it
yeah.
uses platformer controls. But I get the I haven't played it. I've just seen it played at festivals and stuff. I get the impression that it is like an
It's
adventure
more of an
game.
adventure game. It just has full character control and
But you're like
so on.
jumping off telephone wires and walking on rooftops and stuff. But
Yeah, a little bit the cave-ish, kind of that sort of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, and it's very pretty.
It's also a flat illustrated look.
And a lot of the little characters in it are animals, but it's not written as a sort of children's game. It's written as, he's in his 30s or whatever. And
The person you're thinking of is Scott Benson.
that's it, Scott Benson. That's why. Okay, I'm sorry, Scott Benson.
He's the
is
illustrator.
making this game.
Yeah. Well, also with a guy named Alec Holokwa.
I feel like I've seen both of these people on Twitter.
Yes.
You have for sure.
He's bombs fall on Twitter. Scott is at least.
That's the audio from Night in the Woods
Isn't that
playing
delightful?
on my phone for absolute. Okay, let's go ahead and stop.
So one of the big draws of this game is that it's the writing is quite good, and supposedly I've only played little tiny pieces of it, and I played this little side story in it. But it's balancing sort of a cute, quirky little aesthetic with it deals with I believe one of his friends died or something like that. So it's sort of dealing with death in a mature but still sort of overall bittersweet way instead of just a morbid, sad kind of eulogy. So it's pretty cool. And this DLC whatever side story actually did the same thing. So you are a little crocodile or alligator. I'm not sure. I would have
Could
to
be a
check on
caiman.
that. Could be, yeah.
Could be a what?
Cayman.
Cayman.
Could be.
It's a subspecies of crocodile, I believe, lives in South America.
That's right. Entirely possible.
Like the Cayman Islands?
It's CAI, I think.
Spelled differently.
Yeah.
That's a different crocodile.
Different croc. Different kettle of fish right there. Kettle of croc.
Is this like side story thing? Is this a promotional thing, or what is why did they do this ahead of the actual main game?
I think this is a Kickstarter backer bonus, and also you could buy it if you're just interested in the game. It was really inexpensive. I think it was only like $3 or something.
Huh? That still
it's
seems like an odd thing to do. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just like if you're trying to make a game, it feels like. I guess my main frame of reference is that it's not the same thing at all. But like one of the things that sometimes happens when you're working on a game is you get really sidetracked with working on the like expo demo.
Oh, sure.
Like, the version of it that you're going to bring along to show people. And that version kind of then ends up just becoming its own thing that sucks up a lot of your time.
Totally.
And you actually make you tell yourself like, oh, we're going to totally like make real progress on the game while we're doing this. But in reality, like the problem set ends up diverging a bit. And like you end up putting a lot of effort into this special case thing that isn't actually the main thing that you're supposed to be using your time to work on. And I mean, like, I know this is different because it's a very, very small team and they can just do whatever they want, really.
Yeah.
But it just seems surprising that they would do that before rather than after the game is done.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere too. I wasn't
reason.
aware
I
of
just
it
don't know what it
until like people were actually talking about it. So,
yeah, I mean, in that sense, it seems like it's pretty successful because I've had people bring this thing up to me multiple times, and Night in the Woods was sort of in my periphery. Like I knew
heard
about
of
it,
it, but yeah.
And then when this pre-DLC or whatever, this like little piece of content came out that was playable and complete, it bubbled up. So now I'm much more aware of purchasing the game when it comes out. So it could be like
How
interesting.
long does it take to play through this whole thing?
Oh, maybe an hour and a half or
Okay,
so.
cool. All right.
It's a decent little chunk of game.
Yeah.
And it's, side-scrolling little adventure game with a tiny bit of platformer elements, but it's really
How was
very light.
how was the theme and the writing and stuff like that?
I think it was excellent.
And is it relatively serious despite your like 2D almost like very clean illustrated animal characters?
It is. I mean, there's certainly goofy elements to it. You definitely, there's a cat. You're going into the woods. You're going into a part of the woods where it's always winter or perma-winter or something terrible is going to happen. There's a sassy cat who's kind of like, you're probably going to die.
Love sassy cat.
All that
A
kind of
sassy
stuff.
cat, then.
So
Nasty
there's
cat, one of my
definitely-
favorite cats.
It's definitely quirky. Everybody's an animal character,
Right.
but
There's different
especially
ways
the
to handle
ending
that.
and I think it's handled really well, and it's very. I don't know. I got a lot out of it, and I thought it was kind of handled lightly. It's kind of like a deft touch kind of thing. All the characters are animals, but they're still believable. I still cared about them, and
There's
the
this
ending was very
great sort of like
bittersweet.
it's a graphic novel called Duncan the Wonder Dog that a friend of Jake and I's made named Adam Hines that is all animals in a drama, but you instantly buy it
Sure.
in a way that it's like a Pixar film, where it's like,
Totally,
oh yeah, these toys
yeah.
are talking, gives a fuck. Like, I'm into the characters. I understand that this is actually about being alive.
Absolutely.
And I was always really impressed by that graphic novel. And then when I saw Night of the Woods, it's sort of like tickled that same sort of like, oh, this is actually about things, even though it's representative, even though the characters that represent people are whatever, ridiculous. That Adam's actually working on I don't know the name of the game, but I know the name of the studio. They're working on like a game that sounds pretty cool. Adam Hines was a writer at Telltale for a long time, or a little while. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I would definitely recommend this. I played the whole thing on our Twitch channel in my Rhode Island accent, actually. So
Nice.
There's that.
Always good.
And it was just it was like a nice little Christmas present, that kind of thing. So
Cool.
I would definitely recommend it if you're interested at all in that kind of thing.
Nice. Do we want to do reader mail? Is there more? Are there more games?
That is what we want.
All right.
Let's just do one or two. There's a lot of ancillary
We do.
podcast.
There's a lot of bullshit content waiting for you at the end of this this podcast.
If you thought this episode was something, wait till the rest of this episode.
Get ready for the DLC, the pre-DLC.
You have it.
God, okay, wait. You know what?
I was
already
bumbled
have it.
with this.
Maybe we do one mega reader mail
All right.
because Danielle is here. Not that you wouldn't be here most
Dear
of
Idle Thumbs, list every video game.
Dear Idle Thumbs, this is from Allison Kyron Cole. Upon the encouragement of a coworker, I would like to share my experiences at Walt Disney World as an ex-cast member.
Oh my god. I'm excited.
If you visited Walt Disney World in 2011, went to Epcot, and wandered into the mining cave in the Canadian Pavilion, where the film hosted by Martin Short screens, you may have met me. I was wearing a lumberjack outfit. If you haven't, I understand. No one likes visiting the Canadian Pavilion anyway.
I do.
Yeah, I heard you guys like the Canadian restaurant.
We loved it.
Which I don't even know what that is.
It's a steakhouse.
All right, well.
But I still like it because Disney always has stuff for vegetarians. It's actually quite lovely.
Okay, well, that's
Yes.
cool. So she continues here. I spent a year of my young life working as a professional Canadian. I have a pile of interesting stories about the work. Seeing a drunk man bathing nearly naked in the Canadian waterfall, check. Being asked to write people messages in Canadian every day. Getting in trouble for telling draft dodging jokes, yep, and more of 1812 jokes too. I'm sure you've heard plenty of these. I have not, by the way. I'm going to interject.
The War of 1812 goofs.
What I feel I can uniquely offer is stories of living in Disney-owned housing. I was in a housing unit called The Commons. It is where Epcot International cast members live for the duration of their time at Walt Disney World. With the exception of the Moroccans, they have their own house rumored to be somewhere nearby, but I never saw it myself. What? I know literally nothing about any of this, by the way. This is all new to me.
amazing.
I don't know if, Danielle, you know any of this.
Oh, yes.
0% of this was
I've
familiar
read
to me.
some exposés from
Okay.
cast members.
The Americans
About
were
the
in house...
Moroccan house.
Not
That
about
sounds
the
like where
Moroccan
it
house.
fucking
though.
happens, man. I'm going to that Moroccan house.
The Americans were in housing a few kilometers away. It was claimed to be for logistical reasons, but we were pretty sure it was so we didn't end up engaged or pregnant and with green cards. To give you an idea about the culture of this place, almost every country from Epcot has 2 drinking teams, one for the girls and one for the boys. Every Monday, 2 of these teams would drink against each other. Each country had different rules associated with their team. The Norwegian boys team, for example, would go to a bar that provided them each with a bucket because it was mandatory to drink until you threw up. What prompted this
Oh my god.
What prompted this email was not this, but the recovery of my old housing guidelines from my parents' place over the holidays. I am excerpting interesting bits, but I've attached a scanned copy of the original pages if you care to glance through them. I will do that.
Somebody didn't read her Disney non-disclosure agreement.
This is a selection of the many rules we were required by a very specific work visa, often called the Disney visa, as Walt Disney World worked with the U.S. government to create them specifically for Epcot to live by. I will share the mayhem behind the magic, or what I like to think of as the true magic. 1. Possession or usage of any explosives, fireworks, incense, candles, firearms, and or weapons are prohibited. This seems...
Incense and firearms in the same bucket's kind of intense.
That sounds like Disney.
This seems innocuous until we were informed that water guns and lightsabers in a place that hosts a Star Wars weekend are included in what is considered a weapon. 2. Walt Disney World Resort, a division of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts U.S. Incorporated, may in its sole, absolute, and unfettered discretion terminate my living experience at the housing property for any reason whatsoever, or for no reason, with or without cause. If Walt Disney World Resort exercises its right hereunder, I shall immediately leave the house properties in accordance with the terms hereof.
In a bag.
In a Disney bag.
It sounds like they literally wrote themselves a license to kill.
You should keep listening to this email.
Oh my god.
Once our living experience was, quote, terminated, we had until 11 a.m. the next morning to be out. This often involved being terminated or fired from work. When this happened, they reported the end of contract to immigration, and you not only had to be out of housing, but out of the country within 24 hours. Management has the right to enter, inspect, and photograph all areas of the apartment, including lockers, without notice. The surprise inspections involved them knocking on the door, walking into the living room, blowing a whistle, and giving less than a minute to get decent. Then they inspected. 4. Distribution of literature, written or verbal, by participants or their visitors without management's written permission is strictly prohibited. This pretty much sums up the Disney mindset.
Wait, what was the last one again? Distribution of literature?
Yeah.
Yes.
Written or verbal, yes.
So I couldn't give... Oh my goodness.
5. I'm going to read... She puts her explanation before this, but I think it's better to put the explanation after. Oh, wait. No, you know what? I'll read it first. 5. The TLDR on this is, I think I gave Disney World the right to murder me. I added the bold to make a sentence that is readable without the jargon, but they added the caps. I will tell you when the capital letters start.
Okay.
In consideration of my living experience in the housing properties, I will assume all risks associated with my living experience. Further, I, for myself, my heirs, executors, administrators, successors, and assigns, hereby, this starts in capitals, Disney capitalizes this, release, acquit, forever discharge, and hold harmless Walt Disney World Resort, Price Management, their parents, related affiliated and subsidiary companies, predecessors, successors, shareholders, officers, directors, representatives, agents, employees, and insurers for each of the foregoing, collectively the release parties, from all liabilities, demands, attorney's fees, claims, costs, damages, expenses, actions, or causes of action of any nature whatsoever, whether known or unknown, and whether fixed or contingent, arising out of or in any way connected with my living experience at the housing property, including, without limitation, personal injury, including death, property damage, and criminal acts on my person or property. I understand that this release includes, without limitation, any and all claims based on negligence, action, or inaction of any of the released parties and covers bodily injury, including death, and property damage, whether suffered by me or my possessions before, during, or after the experience of my living experience in the housing properties. End quote.
Holy God.
Yeah.
You know why you can't find that Moroccan house? They fucking burned it to the ground. And as long as law enforcement doesn't realize it's arson, there is nothing those families can do.
You know what the Moroccan house is? It's where you go when you turn 30 in Logan's Run.
Oh my God.
Guys, I just got transferred to the Moroccan house. I've heard that's where the real parties are.
Then this one guy just goes, oh.
Yeah.
The connected guy.
That
the guy is being
incredible.
groomed to be an executive person still held under this agreement.
Some other fun facts. We weren't allowed to open our windows. Bikes, skateboards, rollerblades were prohibited. We were never allowed guests after 1 a.m. We lived with 8 people in a 4-bedroom apartment. Rent came out of your paycheck, so if you didn't work enough, you would actually lose money on payday. You had to carry your ID with you at all times and be ready to hand it over when asked. I hope this all sheds some light how we lived in international harmony in the Disney housing units. On another note, I'd like to say you guys are amazing. I found myself unable to listen to most podcasts, so having one with intelligent, witty, well-thought-out opinions and a space for the voice of a strong, clever, queer woman is a lifesaver for me.
Oh, thank you.
If you'll be at Indiecade East... Okay, well, anyway, she goes
We won't.
on. She has a dev team. She'll be at Indiecade East with her dev team. She doesn't say what her dev team is or what her game is, but anyway, Allison Cole.
Good.
Oh, that was amazing.
Well done.
Oh my God. I had a cousin, she was an animator at Disney back when at MGM, now Hollywood Studios, was an actual production facility. She drew, fun fact, the gargoyles in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Those are really incredibly well done.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you. I
there was
need to
actually
take
a really
credit for
amazing
it.
gargoyle scene that was cut from the movie. That,
Was there?
Yeah.
She probably drew
It's
that.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, she drew that. She drew the Mulan's father in Mulan,
Cool.
as
I've
well
never seen
as I think the parent gorilla in Tarzan. Anyway,
I didn't see that one.
so we got to go behind the scenes sometimes and chat with cast members. Although these
You
were
were
like, the
murdered.
higher up cast members, so they were like animators in the
Right.
facility and everything. But they had some weird stories too about
I
Disney
bet.
being quite
I mean,
interesting.
this is like a early 20th century company town that runs on script. That's what this.
Yeah,
that's
basically.
what this feels like. It's crazy.
Oh God, Disney. It's the
What a
most
strange
interesting place in the
organization.
world. Yeah.
If you have any other insane insights into the like contractual dealings of Fortune 500 companies, please email us at questions@idlethumbs.net or hit us up on Twitter at @idlethumbs. How you doing, Jake?
Good.
Gonna put a button on this cast?
Yeah.
You want to talk about your car for like 20 minutes?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Great.
Oh, one thing before we talk about my car, which I'm really excited to do.
Jake loves talking about his car.
We talked about, was it last week that we talked about Fibbage?
Yes.
A lot of people actually played it on that recommendation, but it turns out that the Jackbox Party Pack is on Steam for PC and, as of last week, Mac.
Whoa.
So you can also just play
I
that
mentioned
on a
that last
computer.
week.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you?
I specifically talked
Son
about
of a bitch.
Yeah.
I thought you did. Okay. I thought
No,
we didn't find that out till
I did
afterwards.
because remember I said that it was cool how you don't need, like, often it's hard to play same screen stuff on PC because you don't have enough controllers for
that's
your
right.
PC and everything. But
Sorry, the actual only news is that a Mac version also exists now, I guess.
yeah, no, that's good to know.
That's
A
exciting.
lot of people told us to play the drawing one, but we didn't.
Also, someone does want to point out that even though we were put off buying Fibbage, we were put off buying the party pack because you had already bought Fibbage. Matt Kernan and actually several other people wrote in to say the version of Fibbage that comes in the party pack is actually Fibbage XL, which contains 50% more questions than the original standalone version. They even prioritized the newly added questions so players of the earlier version wouldn't have to play through them again right at the beginning.
Yep, that's good because I was already hitting repeats after playing a few rounds of the other one.
And I've heard that Drawful is good.
Yeah, it's really
yeah,
good. That's what people said.
Yeah, I'd be curious to play more of these.
Yep.
Sounds like a party.
Cool.
Does sound like a party pack.
Whoa.
All right, cool. Well, if you like this podcast, you might want to tell a friend. We would appreciate it. Also, feel free to rate us on iTunes. That helps a lot. You can find us on Twitter at IdleThumbs. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/IdleThumbs. We're on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/IdleThumbsPodcast. And you can send us email to be read at questions@idlethumbs.net.
And I play games at Twitch.
Oh, that's true.
Twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. On that note, I want to hear about all the bullshit that happened to Jake's car.
It's a great story worth sticking around for.
Whoa.
Oh, man, sorry. We're never going to end this podcast, but a new episode of Designer Notes.
Oh, good call.
Soren Johnson's podcast came out this week, and he talks to Frank Lance.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Frank Lance is super smart. He was the founder of the New York-based studio Area Code. It's now owned by Zynga, and I don't know what they've done recently. But,
Yeah, but that was-
they
that
made
was Drop 7.
Drop 7, yes,
Oh, God,
which is
that
one of the
game.
all-time great, not only mobile games, but one of the all-time great falling
Just like falling
puzzle
puzzle
games. Yeah, it is a brilliant, brilliant game. Frank Lance is really smart. He has really interesting opinions about games and the theory surrounding game design. Just a really smart guy. And I have not yet heard Soren's interview with him on Designer
No,
Notes,
but his other two episodes with Rob Pardo were
yes,
good.
his Rob
so
Pardo episodes were good. Frank Lance is really smart, always says good stuff. So if you go to idlethumbs.net/designer notes, you can subscribe to that podcast, which is Soren Johnson, the lead developer of Civilization 4. It is his monthly podcast of deep dive, in-depth interviews with other game developers.
Rad.
Last thing, there's a new episode of Dota Today this
Oh my
week
God.
where we talk to Cinderin from Dota Cinema. He's also a caster from TI3 and TI4, and he's fascinating. So if you like Dota, you should listen to this week's Dota Today.
Oh, man, actually,
When it
sorry.
goes up, it might not be up yet. When
It'll
you
be
hear
up
this.
by the end of the week, dotatoday.net.
Got one more thing. I want to tell you guys about my car.
If the Nazis won World War II, the show Flipper would have been called Flitler, about a Nazi dolphin.
That's the premise of the next
Armband
Wolfenstein.
fun as Flipper. Oh, man.
BJ Blazkowicz goes
What he's
Flipper.
like doing is like,
Yeah,
He's just like got
but
one-
he's got one up. He's
one up.
highlighting. For sure. You remember how he'd summon? Did you ever watch Flipper? How he'd
Yeah, of
summon
course.
it by turning the little crank underwater that made the noise?
Yeah.
I only imagine that would just be a German woman saying things over a PA in the Nazi Flipper.
Come to the dock.
Yeah.
Come to the dock.
It would just be like the PA announcement from Half-Life 2 that is sort of like in the background, just like, oh, I live in a bad place.
All right, speaking of Flipper, did any of you see the 90s adaptation, the movie Flipper with Elijah Wood?
Oh, I feel like I saw it
You saw
in the
it.
back of a van on a road trip. Yeah.
Okay, the back of the van, sorry.
that's like-
You said in the
very,
back of a van? I
yeah.
thought you were going to say as an abductee.
Yeah, I was worried.
I remember being put in a windowless van and subjected to Flipper.
I
The
remember
van
seeing the
had
back of a
windows, and I
van
essentially was an
with
abductee.
candy.
Except I was a child.
You had TV
My
in your
parents were
car?
like, we're going. My parents somehow bought like a giant Ford Astro van that had a 4-inch by 4-inch television VCR
with
combo.
like a VCR. Oh, yeah.
And yeah, we would watch movies in there a lot.
All right.
When like we're driving to Spearfish, South Dakota to go to Mount Rushmore.
That sounds fun.
I always, when I was on
Yeah,
road
it
trips
could've
without the TV, I always saw the vans drive by and saw the glow of the TV, and I was like, oh man, to be that kid. Yeah, my parents had the Vanagon that was not the camper, and the Chrysler LeBaron that was not the convertible. That was my car in high school. Stupid talking '89 LeBaron.
Yeah.
That LeBaron had a digital dashboard. It was like the future
yeah.
of '80s cars, which sucks because it burned out one time
You're
when I was
fucked.
driving. I was like, okay, I have nothing. Everything's gone.
Not just one thing is gone. It's all data.
I got a replacement dashboard from a junkyard, and then took 50,000 miles off my car.
Oh.
It doesn't matter though, because after I went to college, my brother drove it around for a while, and then it got a fuel leak
And he burned
caught
it.
fire across the street from my parents' house. My brother turned off the car, and like smoke started coming out of the vents. He was like, "Oh, that's weird." And then like a bubble just popped on the hood, and he was like, "Oh shit!"
Speaking of car trouble.
Hold on. Well, he got out, ran inside, called 911, came back out as the windows melted, and then I guess the fire department had nothing to do, so they used it as a training exercise. The fire chief came and just stood by as like new guys put out the car. Oh, we don't have the Vanagon because then like couple months later, maybe it was a couple months before that, I was dropped off at college. My brother drove home
In the Vanagon?
in the Vanagon.
Oh, I know this story. Yeah, it almost
And-
killed your whole family.
Yeah, someone merged into him. He freaked out, corrected the other way, and the car just did a 180 across 4 lanes of freeway, smashed into the center divide.
My God.
So like I think he like ran it off the passenger side, then spun it around a couple times, and
Overcorrected.
and then ran the other side of the car into the divide. So basically, all sides of the car were smashed. Both axles were bent. And then I guess the CHP officer tried to accuse my dad of being drunk and putting my brother in the driver's seat, which made him really mad at the end. So anyway, that's how both of my cars were destroyed.
Least likely
my
person
God.
to ever get a DUI. Jake's dad.
Yeah, that is true.
Quiet, responsible, easygoing.
Yeah. Anyway,
Good story, Jake.
that's how that talking car and that van.
You think you'll ever own a car again?
No. I cannot own a car
I
ever
can't blame
again.
you after that.
Oh, no. You should know the news story.
I don't even know.
There's another one?
The saga of my car is so stupid and so long. I mean, this podcast is already gold. I don't even know if we're back from break.
I think we
Do I tell the story of this fucking stupid car?
Jake has, I will say, as his friend and roommate, still has, technically, a like a 99, 2000...
99, it's 99 Golf.
Volkswagen Golf.
Okay.
That, when I first met him, was nice, but
was
full
fine.
of, like,
Garbage.
like there's like
sure.
Burger King, you know. And no offense to you, whatever, man, you live your life. You do you, it's fine. And then it kind of started to go. The harder we worked on Walking Dead, the more
Sure.
disrepair the car started to go into. Walking Dead finished. Jake was living in the city. Jake puts a bunch of money into the car. Back to Cherry.
It's a nice car at that
nice,
point.
beautiful. 7 hours later, it gets sideswiped on Fulton and rips the mirror off.
No!
And basically, that is what has continued to happen to Jake's car. Every time, it just sort of gets like smashed into the earth by forces that are outside of his control.
Also, I
he
feel
gets
Jake-
into a point, like a critical point of like, okay, I think the car is either going to be going to the landfill or I'm going to just clean it up and sell it. And then he usually cleans it up and sells it.
Or clean it
Also,
up and don't sell it.
I feel like-
and then
I
tries
feel like-
it, doesn't sell it. Yeah.
I feel like this has basically been happening to Jake the entire time I've known him, which is like 13 years at this point.
You knew me when I had that Jetta.
I knew when you had the old white Jetta, which also seemed like it was perpetually just getting owned.
Yeah, I met you in 2008, and this has definitely been part of our story since I met you.
I've owned 2 Volkswagens in my life, and both of their lives have ended with something happening that causes a bunch of water to get inside of the car, because that Jetta, its last few days on Earth were
At the bottom of a lake.
no, the sunroof stopped working, and then it rained inside of the car before I could plug it up.
No.
So it had the gross mold stank.
Right.
Whereas this car,
The rainiest night we've had
it was
in
like
years.
There was the news warnings everywhere. San Francisco's gonna have a
that's
huge
right.
flood. Someone smashed the back window of my car the night of the superstorm.
They've smashed my window, too.
So
my
I was on the fence where I was like, okay, maybe I should fix the other mirror has since been broken after I fixed it. I was like, maybe I should fix the other mirror, sell it. You know what? Maybe I'll just donate it to KQED. I think this car, let's get it off my chest. Let's just get rid of this thing.
This cursed car.
That week,
Flooded
back window smashed, water dumps into the car. I blot as much of it out with a towel as I can. I pull the water out of the trunk, tape it up. But I'm like,
But now they're a block away from the office. There's just a Volkswagen Golf with a white garbage bag taped into the hatchback window.
There's just mold and stuff inside the car. It's bad now. I went inside of it after I got it back from the impound lot.
Wait, no, it's kind of burying the
I
crux
left
of the
the car
story.
there long enough because the battery's been dead because I don't drive it to work anymore because it's broken.
Again, a block away from the office. Jake lives 3 miles from the office.
Yeah.
It's a block away from the office. Yeah.
It was finally... I showed up with Dana's car with a big box that I was going to finally unload all of it. And this was the day that it was declared an abandoned vehicle and towed to impound. So I get it back from impound.
5 tickets. That's what it takes.
I got it back from impound.
takes 5
I'd been
tickets.
keeping track and then I lost track of a break. I hate it. I got the car back, jumped it, drove it back over here, parked it on a different block, took the tire chalk off of it.
This is the permanent line.
Yep, it's
Tire chalk.
But now I've discovered that I'm not in the correct time in my car's registration cycle to be able to mark it as non-operational. But I also don't have the title to my car because my dad misfiled it years ago.
Oh no.
And so I went in to get a replacement title, and they said, "Oh, the lien holder that provided the loan to buy this car 10 years ago still has their name on it, so you've got to get paperwork from them." Got that. I was in the process of getting that when it was towed. Let's just...
Oh, God.
But then I got that taken care of, and now I have to do 3 other additional steps. Basically, I've been to the DMV twice now, and every time I go back, they're like, "This all seems to be in order." Oh, I'm sorry. They wrote me the piece of paper that was like, "Oh, this will actually let you legally drive the car, actually, if you need to take it somewhere to get it serviced or anything." "Oh, actually, sorry, I can't give this to you. You need to pay a $14 fine at a different office and then come back, and then I can give you this piece of paper." So basically, at this point, it would be easier for me to just scrape all identifications off my car and just back it into a landfill.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm going to pay hundreds of dollars to donate it to public radio.
Oh, my God.
This is going to be 4 figures by the time KQED gets a hold of this car.
Yeah.
Parking tickets.
It definitely will be. Even if you
Plus all
just
the
add up
fees.
the impound and the parking tickets.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I bet it'll be $1,200.
I never want to buy a car.
You literally should have set the car on fire and donated $1,200 to KQED.
Yes! I should have set the car. I should have figured out whatever it was that caused my LeBaron to burn up in 1999.
Whatever
Replicate
your brother
that.
did.
Get arrested for for insurance fraud.
Right, it would actually then jump and Big Daddy Antiques would burn down and I'd be on the hook for
It's a Coen Brothers movie, basically.
Was it your
It's
car
like a
that we were in when we got rear-ended on the way to E3?
E3.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the
Okay,
Jetta.
this car.
Oh man, okay, we're just off in stupid town now. But yes, so that was
your old white Jetta.
it was tan, but whatever. Yeah. In that Jetta, we were going to E3 and then someone just went off the freeway and didn't notice that they were on the off-ramp, so they just ran into the back of my car at 50 miles an hour, which flattened the trunk.
Yeah. Did you also have the hood damage?
That was separate from that, but yes. So I my parents' neighbor worked at a body shop. We paid him some money to stretch the car back out, beat it into shape. It was great. And then I think it was Comic-Con of the same year, maybe. Someone merged right in front of me on the 5 in a huge SUV and slammed on their brakes, which sent the back of their car up in the air, and then my hood went under their car, then it sat down on it.
Which then, I think multiple, like police officers.
Yeah, I picked you up at the airport that time, like a decade ago, and that guy just kept saying, "Is that hood damage?" Which you then said every time you got in my car for like a year. But we were fucking fed up with my car at that point, including our body shop neighbor who was like, "I don't even know." He attached a chain to the front of the car, looped it around a lamppost, and we just backed up the car until the hood would close. Anyway.
This is like the Babadook of cars.
What about getting your name? Didn't the DMV put your name down as...
Oh, yeah, that was the thing. That's right. So I brought... God damn it. It wasn't the DMV, it was the lien holder. It was the credit union that I got like a $5,000 loan to get this car 10 years ago. They listed my name on the proof of payment of loan form as Jacob Richard Rodkin, which is fine, except that the form asks for last name, first name, middle name. So they were like, it says here that your name is Richard Jacob. It's like, no. Like, sorry, this is for a Mr. Jacob. And then I had to go find and fill out a separate form where I now, like, I probably have a pseudonym on record with the government because I had to say, I swear
Have you ever done business?
I swear that Richard, or that, like, it was like that Richard Rodkin Jacob is Jacob Richard Rodkin. So now, like, that name exists in the DMV record as me.
Rodkin is Jacob.
God, if Jacob ever kills
is
somebody...
Rodkin.
It's gonna be the full
Hopefully, if I ever kill somebody.
No, I think your
Richard
car
Rodkin.
will kill somebody.
Richard Rodkin killed people. No, it'd be Richard Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be Richard Rodkin Jacob. My dad is done. He's ruined. Gamergate, do not listen to this podcast. Anyway, we're back.
Cars, my friend.
I forgot that I actually owned a GTI in there somewhere, and it also...
Was that the black one?
Yeah, it was like dark green. That was one.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I always buy really cheap Volkswagens and treat them well for a while, and then they turn on me.
I don't know if that's them turning on you.
No,
That's
that
the
one
world.
I actually listed.
That's
Yeah, the
turning.
world.
I put the for sale sign in that car and put it on the street, and then got out of my car, and the seatbelt ripped off. And then in that week, the paint on the roof peeled off. Like, actually getting out of the fabric of the seatbelt just went... It was incredible.
How does that even happen?
I don't know. It was terrifying.
I'm never driving again.
That was the one that had cheese in it that one time.
Oh my god! Oh god! So we